Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If we're meeting for the first time, allow me to introduce myself. I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And what that looks like is that I offer one-on-one sessions, soul mentoring, and also a variety of classes designed to inspire your spirit. All of my classes take place over Zoom, and almost always my classes are small in size, which means if you choose to join us, you will have an opportunity to come into heart-centered community and be loved and supported and mentored on your journey as a light bearer, a bringer of light, an inspirer, or just a really good person here on planet Earth. And you can learn more at my website, illuminatingsouls.com, where you can also sign up for my mailing list. But for now, the angels and I are here to help you come into a sweet and sacred space where you can rest and replenish and drift off to sleep if this is your bedtime. I created this podcast out of two of my favorite forms of self-care: connecting with the angels and listening to a sleep podcast. I've been listening to sleep podcasts for many years, and I love them so much I was guided to create my own. So it's been several years since I launched Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, and I'm so grateful for all of the episodes I have out there because they help me fall asleep too. It is wonderful when we get to create something that serves us throughout the years. It's brilliant to be able to receive from my past endeavors, and so I invite you to also visit the archive. And after you've listened to this episode, perhaps there will be another one that calls to you. So as I record this, it is afternoon. I usually record these in the morning, but I've kind of had a weird rhythm to my energy lately. I find that the early mornings I'm feeling much more quiet than usual. I'm a little slower to start. I'm still awake early in the morning, but before, where I would be ready to get going and let my creative energy flow, I am just in the quiet places. And what that looks like for me right now is I'm crocheting a lot. I love to crochet. I have a little bit of a yarn obsession, and I have been crocheting. I can't tell you what yet because they're going to be holiday presents. Not for anybody who listens to the podcast, but still I just have to honor the mystery of gift-giving season. And I've been watching television shows that I have found very soothing, including the Great British Baking Show, which I still call the Great British Bake Off. And have you seen Somebody Somewhere, which is on HBO Max? What a beautiful program. It is a series, and the characters are friends. It's not like Friends, the series, but it's about friendship. And it is such a beautiful series. It unexpectedly touched my heart. I turned it on one day, not expecting to fall in love with it. But I did, and it's only run for 3 seasons, and so I've become very attached to the characters and to the storylines. And if you're just looking for a lovely program to curl up with, I highly recommend Somebody Somewhere. So I've been in the quiet, And I have to say, I love the quiet. You know, there's a part of me that thinks I should be out in the world and doing things, but the truth is I have zero desire to do that. I love that I have lived my way into this era where I can connect with so many wonderful people over Zoom and over social media. And so I get to just hang out in my sweet little house with my husband and put my feet up. And it feels very soothing, especially because right now the world does not feel soothing. Without going into the details, because you can read the headlines as much as I can, there's a lot happening here on planet Earth. And many of us are people who feel deeply. I've always been somebody who felt deeply. Maybe in a different era they would have said I was emotional, but not to my detriment. But I remember my father would worry for me because I felt everything so deeply. And now, of course, I recognize it as my superpower, because my ability to feel deeply also allows me to feel into divine love. So it's a continuum. You know, if I can feel into just mundane energies, I can also feel into divine love, and I experience the world through my heart. So I would imagine so do you. We are people who feel deeply, and that is a blessing in my book anyways. So in terms of what you can expect from this episode and this podcast, each episode runs about an hour, and that is because that is my preference as a listener. I won't listen to a sleep podcast if it's less than 40 minutes, because I don't want to feel pressured to go to sleep. So every episode is about an hour. It is in this same semi-monotone voice. I don't talk like this all the time. But again, that's so the audio is stable. There aren't going to be loud noises or surprises or anything that keeps you so riveted that you are awake, that you can't go to sleep. So it's going to be a little boring, kind of interesting. This first part is where I ramble a little bit with you and help you get ready to go to sleep, and I bring in the angels. And then the second part is story time. And each story time is something a little different. Sometimes I'll share with you stories from my own life. We might flip through the pages of an old cookbook or something that's in the public domain. Today, we are going to go through the pages of an old TV guide. And I know many of you have shared with me that these are some of your favorite episodes. So during story time, we are going to go into the wayback machine to 1971. That's as much as I'm going to tell you. When we get to story time, I'll tell you what's on the cover, and then we'll go into the joys of my childhood television watching experiences. And if you're in the same age stage as I am, and if you lived in the US, perhaps it will mirror your own. So I invite you to get comfortable if you aren't already, in whatever way works best for you. It's a bit chillier here at night in the San Francisco Bay Area, so we have made it into multiple blanket sleep time, which is my favorite way to sleep. Many blankets. And then I burrow in with all the pillows, and I am so contented. And then I put in my earbuds and I listen to a sleep podcast. So I invite you to get cozy in whatever way works best for you, and just snuggle on up. And I'm going to invite the angels to join us. They're already here. And angels are divine messengers. They are beings that embody divine love, and we all have them. So just take a breath in as I ask the angels to join us. So beautiful angels on high, I invite you to join us here, and I ask that you infuse this broadcast with waves of love and healing and kindness and inspiration. Please help clear from our fields anything that is not ours, anything we need not carry. And I ask for an infusion of lightness of spirit, helping us connect with our spark, our magic, our razzle-dazzle, if you will, to just let the light flow through in ways that serve our highest and best good. And so, dear ones, just take a nice deep breath in, just allowing and imagining it to be so that the room you are in is being filled with a soft pink light that is infused with divine love that has been calibrated just for you. You see, the angels know your heart. They know what is transpiring in your life. They know your prayers before you have even put them to words. And so the angels are bringing you an infusion of this light to support you on your journey. And just allow yourself to be washed clean, just allowing any of the day's residue to be cleared off of you. Allowing the divine light to flow to you to inform your physical body, your mind and your heart, and your light body. And this beautiful light, it is generous and it is expansive. So this light is now expanding to everyone and everything that you love. Your family, your friends, your pets, your home, your plants, everything that you love, everything that resides in your heart is receiving this infusion of love. And the angels also gently remind you to receive as well. As light workers, we are very good at giving, and we're not so good at receiving. I know that's true for me. I'd much rather give a gift than receive one. We're just wired that way sometimes. So this is a really graceful way to receive. Low stakes. Letting the angels' love flow to you now. And if there is anyone or any situation in your heart where you would like some extra light sent, just bring them into your heart now, and the angels will send love on your behalf. And I can already feel this love rippling. It seems as if this is a time and space where much light is needed. So just take a breath and just imagine this light rippling to each person, each situation, the places where it is needed. Knowing that in this breath, God is good. God is love. God is present. So just take another deep breath in, allowing this light to gently flow through your body, through your mind, allowing this energy to calm your heart and inspire your spirit as the angels help you prepare for rest. Unless, of course, these are your waking hours, because I do know many of you listen during your daytime when you are awake, in which case the angels will support you in your wakefulness. So whatever you need, be it sleep or be it alertness, you just let the angels know, and they will calibrate this energy and this podcast in a way that is supportive for you. So just breathe for a moment, allowing the light to meet you where you are, allowing the goodness of this moment to flow to you. There is so much love here for you. You are a beloved in this world, and this world is better because you are here. You are one who is helping to dream a brighter future into the collective consciousness. Even if you don't know how this is happening through you, trust in this moment that it is. And so, my dear ones, I wish you the sweetest of dreams. Unless, of course, you are awake and operating heavy machinery, in which case, I wish you a beautiful sense of awareness. And we will move on into story time. I am feeling a bit punchy right now, as you can tell. So you do you, whatever you need. The angels are here for you. And we are going to mosey on in to our story time. All right, so I have already previewed for you that we are going to be flipping through an old TV guide. This is the June 19th issue from 1971. So I would be 9 years old at this point. And on the cover, we have Brandon Cruz and Bill Bixby of the Courtship of Eddie's Father. So this has been sitting on my desk for about 2 weeks now. And so the song from the Courtship of Eddie's Father has been playing through my head endlessly. People, let me tell you about my best friend. Do you guys remember that song? I'm not going to sing it. But if it starts running through your head too, welcome to my world. And this is interesting. So I purchased this issue off of eBay. And whoever had this issue back in the day made check marks next to certain programs. Now, I have no idea if they were making check marks because these were programs they wanted to watch, or if the check marks indicate programs they watched. But I think it's going to be kind of interesting to go through the pages of this TV guide together and kind of get some insight as to who the original owner was of this issue. So let's go into the Wayback Machine to 1971 and the world of the Courtship of Eddie's Father. So one of the things I really love about going through these old magazines are the ads. So nowadays we all carry a cell phone. Yes, we don't even call it a cell phone anymore. It's just our phone. And long distance isn't a thing, but many of you who listen are in a similar generation to me, and you will likely remember how costly long-distance phone calls were. So here is an ad about long distance. New interstate long-distance rates are now in effect. Example, coast to coast. So it's $1.40 for a 3-minute station-to-station call, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturday and 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday when you don't dial the call yourself or you need the operator to help you complete it. So I'm assuming back in the day you'd call the operator and tell them that you needed help placing a long-distance call. But you now can dial it yourself. 1971 in June. Here you go, it's 70 cents. That's the rate if you dial it yourself without the operator assistance. So 70 cents for 3 minutes, that's expensive. I moved from Chicago to Los Angeles in 1985. And so long distance was something I was intimately familiar with. I used to have MCI, I used to have Sprint, and MCI had a deal at some point that if you called after hours, it was 5 cents a minute, which was really cheap. And so I would always try to call my parents when I had a deal on MCI. So back in the day, it mattered. Nowadays, we don't care. We just call whenever we want to, and it doesn't matter. But back then, it was a budgetary consideration, especially if you had loved ones who lived elsewhere. There is also an ad for the Ford LTD, which looks about as long as a city block, and it's a lovely shade of brown, just like you'd expect in the 70s. This is a V8 LTD. This is a luxury car. It has front disc brakes and provides options like air conditioning with automatic temperature control and a tilt steering wheel. I mean, it would be a long time before the rest of us would get these things, but you could never parallel park this car on a city street. It is very, very long. And it's 1971, so that means this is the era of 8-track cassettes. So it has a little but portable 8-track cassette player that you can get from the Capitol Stereotape Club. How many of you remember the 8 tracks and they would change tracks in the middle of a song? So when you memorized a song, you knew exactly when the track would click over. See, something that younger generations will never fully understand. So with this, you can get a self-contained cartridge player. It comes complete with an earphone and 6D batteries, and it weighs less than 5 pounds. So it's portable. Again, look at how far we've come, and how can we not believe in miracles, right? That's amazing. And then there is an article about Bill Bixby and Brandon Cruz, and it's saying how they are friends off camera. So Bill Bixby is saying that at his beach house in Malibu, Brandon Cruz has his own bed, his own closet, and knows that he can come over anytime he wants to. So they are friendly off stage, and I guess that helps build the rapport of father and son. Then there is an article about McLean Stevenson, who played Colonel Henry Blake on MASH. And the headline says, not exactly in Adlai's footsteps. So Adlai Stevenson, who was a politician here in the U.S., they are cousins. So maybe you never knew that. McLean Stevenson and Adlai Stevenson were cousins. Okay, so now in the TV guide, we're at the part where they're listing different movies that will be airing this week. And this is where we get the first hint of the check marks of our original owner. So there's a check by Terror by Night with Basil Rathbone. Freud, a biography with Montgomery Clift. The Wrong Box, a comedy with John Mills and Michael Caine. Something called You're a Big Boy Now with Peter Kastner. A Big Check by Uncle Was a Vampire by Christopher Lee. And my friend David listens, and he loves horror movies, so ode to you, David. My uncle was a vampire. Then there's an ad in case you want to invest in colorful Colorado for only 50 cents a day. What a bargain. You can lay claim to a beautiful 5-acre ranch in Colorado's romantic San Luis Valley. In an environment of natural beauty, fresh air, and recreation, only $395 an acre. It's a bargain, I tell you, a bargain. And like all good TV guides, we start with Saturday morning, and Saturday morning was the morning for cartoons, which I often did not get to watch because I had to go to Sabbath school, which was, like the Jewish school for kids on the weekends. But if I was home, I could watch things like Josie and the Pussycats, the Harlem Globetrotters, H.R. Puffin Stuff, the Monkees. Those of you who listen, you will know my story of how I used to work for Michael Nesmith, who was Mike in the Monkees, the one with the hat. Our TV guide owner checked off something called Hot Dog, The topics include fishing for lobster in Massachusetts and crab in California. Okay, yeah, I would never want to watch that in a million years. American Bandstand has Kenny Rogers and Shiloh. The movie Tarzan and the Huntress from 1947 is going to be airing, although it has no check mark. And then a lot of things I would really not want to watch. All right, and then Saturday afternoon we come to Children of the World. Danny Kaye is host for an International Children's Hour to help celebrate UNICEF's 25th birthday. Well, that's cool. And our friend has checked off McHale's Navy, Hogan's Heroes. How that was ever a show, I do not understand. And the Wild World of Sports. Again, sports, I don't care. I just don't. Let's see, what is happening? It's NCAA outdoor mile in the 50th NCAA track and field championships. I really wouldn't have cared. Wide World of Sports could get my attention if it was figure skating or gymnastics, maybe skiing. But yeah, I wouldn't care about track and field. Sorry, everybody. We've got I Love Lucy checked off. Ricky and the band are going to be presented to the Queen of England. And Lucy's miserable because she's not going along. And then hijinks ensued. I always have to add that after a Lucy episode. Let's see, Mission Impossible's going to be on. Here's Lucy, so that's the updated version of Lucy. Lucy has used up her vacation days through to 1982, so that would be 10 years later, which leaves only one way to take time off. She has to get herself temporarily fired. I'm sure that was a really funny episode. And then Mission Impossible is going to be on. We've got Andy Williams checked off. So one of Andy's best shows with Debbie Reynolds, Flip Wilson, and the Edwin Hawkins Singers. Rod Sterling narrates an elaborate saloon sketch in which Debbie spoofs Mae West and Andy does W.C. Fields. Also airing, which I really would have wanted to watch, is going to be Mary Tyler Moore, as well as My Three Sons. I didn't love My Three Sons, but I would watch it. So a few domestic mishaps give Polly a bad case of wifely inadequacy and leave Chip with a stomach ache and a wardrobe full of over-ironed shirts. Okay, yeah, not excited about that. But Mary Tyler Moore, so character actor Hamilton Camp, stars in this gentle romantic comedy. Camp plays Mary's date, a writer who's charming and half a head shorter than she. Result, Mary has half a crush on the little fellow and a guilty feeling about being a height bigot. This show won an Emmy for Jay Sandrich as Best Director of a Comedy Episode. I don't remember that episode, do you? But I'm sure it was fantastic because I loved Mary Tyler Moore. And if you don't happen to like Mary Tyler Moore, I don't even know how I can relate to that, but our original watcher had boxing checked off. Like, you know, this is a guy, right? Boxing, and then the movie Terror by Night. It's a Sherlock Holmes. I mean, this is guy stuff. He didn't check off Mary Tyler Moore. Or maybe the check is in the wrong place. See, Mary Tyler Moore and boxing are close together, but I think they checked off boxing, not Mary Tyler Moore. Who knows? Maybe they were watching Mary Tyler Moore. And then Mannix is on, which I don't remember very well. Sunday morning, we start off with the riveting Farmer's Corner, which I'm sure was all about what is happening weather-wise for farmers. And Felix the Cat and Mr. Magoo. See, those were not as good as Saturday programs. Sunday cartoons really paled in comparison to the cartoons of Saturday morning. And let's see what else I can find for us. Let's see, there's the US Open. There's Animal World. So I would watch a lot of animal programs on the weekend. So this is an exercise in wildlife conservation. So, I don't know, this doesn't sound very good. Okay, I'm not going to read that to you, but it would not have been a show I would have wanted to see. There's nothing here. There's golf, a decade of open champions. I would have done anything instead of watching golf. Auto racing, Daniel Boone. So I promise you, 9-year-old me would have, well, it's June. I would be outside playing because there's nothing to keep me inside watching television at this point. But there is Green Acres coming up. Haney plots to steal the formula for Lisa's miracle spot remover. There is Star Trek. We still have Star Trek in heavy rotation here in our home today. Kirk lands on a planet engaged in a 500-year-old civil conflict. Or you could watch Gidget Goes to Rome. So there's that. There is, I don't know, some sort of movie or something called The Wrong Box. Big check mark by that. An outlandish Victorian farce with an all-star British cast. The plot, concerning a murderous battle over a family legacy, takes a back seat to a stylish blend of Max Sennett, slapstick, and black comedy. Larry Gelbart, who is the one who developed MASH, and Bert Shevlov's script mines its darkest humor from a runaway funeral cortege, muddled murder attempts, and missing corpses. And it involves Michael Caine, Peter Cook, Dudley Moore, and Peter Sellers. So that's a pretty good cast right there. There also is an episode of Lassie. I loved Lassie growing up. Who did not want a collie who would come running when you called them? So this is the first part of a 2-part episode about Lassie's growing kinship with a horse and the boy who owns her. It was filmed in Solvang, which is kind of near Santa Barbara, California. And Sunday, I am just not finding anything good to watch. Let's see, hold on. Let me see if I can find anything we might want to tune into. Bonanza, never seen a whole episode of that. World of Disney has something called It's Tough to Be a Bird. Not really excited. NFL action, no thank you. Red Skelton. Now, I loved Red Skelton. So in this one, Ava Gabor and Wally Cox appear in a Freddie the Freeloader sketch with Wally as Freddie's hobo helpmate and Eva as a woman who wants to give away $1 million. Okay, so we were probably watching Red Skelton. And then I'm just not seeing anything else here that we would have been interested in watching. There is something called Playboy After Dark. That sounds a little titillating, although I'm sure there was no nudity involved. The guests are Tom Smothers, Johnny Mathis, the Modern Jazz Quartet, singer Jon Stewart, and mentalist Kenny Kingston. I'm sure there were scantily clad women that we would now think are very modestly dressed because our standards have changed so much since 1971. All right, so now we're here on Monday. So Monday, I would probably just be watching syndication, things like Beverly Hillbillies, because you never could get enough of Beverly Hillbillies, Family Affair, I Love Lucy. Andy Griffith is playing, but I don't know that I would have watched that, although Wes loves that now. So let's see who's going to be on Mike Douglas. Does it tell us? Mike Douglas, Milton Berle, Dustin Hoffman, and golf pro Tony Jacklin, and lyricist Sammy Kahn. And then there's another Mike Douglas episode. anthropologist Margaret Mead, author James Baldwin, Phyllis Newman, and actor Dana Andrews. Like such eclectic panels of people, aren't they? Let's see what else I can find for us in the afternoon. Sesame Street is on, although I was too old for Sesame Street at this point. Perry Mason. Wes loves Perry Mason. Whenever there's a Perry Mason episode on, we have to stop and watch it because it makes Wes very happy. And Wes works a muggle job, so he works, a standard 9 to 5 pressure-filled job. So when there's a television show on that helps him decompress, we watch it. I don't want you to think that he doesn't let me watch shows that I like too, but I'm looking to, help him chill out after working a full day. So if Perry Mason can do that, power to Perry. We've got a Flying Nun episode. I loved Flying Nun. I mean, how could you not? She was a nun and she flew. So blundering Captain Fomento puts his worst foot forward at a convent bazaar. I'm sure it was brilliant. And Batman. Wes also loves Batman. Gilligan's Island. I don't even have to look. In this episode, they have a chance to get off the island and Gilligan messes it up. It's basically every single episode of Gilligan's Island. We've got Dick Van Dyke, the foul weather girl. Rob sneaks in and plants a big kiss on Laura. Only it isn't Laura. It's his old school friend, Jane Layton. Ooh, I bet that was a good episode. There is baseball. Now, I do know that some of you like baseball, so this is going to be the New York Mets versus the Pirates. And then it looks like there's a Gunsmoke episode with Carol O'Connor as a guest star and Victor French. Another Here's Lucy. That movie earlier called You're a Big Boy Now from 1966, a satire about the groping maturation of a bumbling stock boy. Oh my God, this sounds terrible. Okay, I'm not going to read anymore. Probably a movie that will never see the light of day again, and that's a good thing. Doris Day, I loved her show. Denver Pyle returns as Doris's dad, and Buck visits the big city. Problem: now that Doris has the man out of the country, can she get the country out of the man? I have no idea what that's about, but it sounds like a Doris Day episode. All right, and here's the obligatory cardboard insert for the Capitol Record Club. So let's see, what was hot back then? We've got Engelbert Humperdinck, Peggy Lee, the Jesus Christ Superstar soundtrack. We've got Lily Tomlin, Elton John, Johnny Cash, Peter, Paul, and Mary, Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, because who does not love Frank? Well, I love Frank. Maybe many people don't like him, but I personally love him. El Martino, Johnny Cash, Bill Cosby. So nothing I would get really excited about, but that gives you a sense of what was happening back then. Oh, and Don Ho. How many of you remember Don Ho? Okay, let's see what else we can go TV-wise. If there's anything else worthy of watching. Okay, let's flip on over to Tuesday evening. We can choose from What's My Line, and the panelists include Alan Alda, Arlene Francis, and Soupy Sales. Soupy was always on some sort of show, on some sort of game show. Get Smart, and Dick Van Dyke, or Truth or Consequences, or Alfred Hitchcock. None of these sound good to me. The Bill Cosby Show, not to be confused with Cosby. Beverly Hillbillies. The Grunion are coming, so the Clampetts make for the beach to head them off unaware that grunions are tiny fish, not foreign invaders. Okay, I'm sure that was funny. And then we've got Mod Squad, which I didn't watch back then. Then there is a Green Acres episode that is checked by our original TV watcher. Kimball, who is usually putting his foot in his mouth, goes himself one better, getting his foot stuck in Oliver's porch. Ha ha ha. We can watch Hee Haw or the movie Intermezzo with Ingrid Bergman and Leslie Howard, which at 9 years old I wouldn't have cared about. Oh, here we go. All in the Family. So that's a good one. Weird phone calls, an inquisitive cop, a stray neighbor, and a misguided drunk all contribute to a chaotic night during which Archie will learn whether he has joined the growing ranks of the unemployed. Marcus Welby, I liked that show. To carry the sun in a golden cup, Dr. Kylie's interest in a lovely nurse takes a clinical turn when she begins to exhibit symptoms of a mystifying disorder. And Maggie Lynch is played by Mariette Hartley. And Paula Lynch is played by Joanne Flug, which you might remember her from Laugh-In. Is it terrifying that I know that? Johnny Carson has guest host Joey Bishop. And in case you were wondering, the movie Uncle Was a Vampire will be on at 1 a.m. A vampire ruins the tourist business at a hotel run by his impoverished nephew. So, there you go. Okay, let's go to Wednesday. So, Mike Douglas, there is a fashion show scheduled with designer Florette Angel. I have no idea who that is. Sharon Rockefeller, wife of John D. IV, and model Mary St. John, also appearing Sonny and Cher and Phyllis Newman. I might have watched that because, fashion. I was a girl. I cared about those things. On this episode of What's My Line, we've got panelists Joanna Barnes, Bert Convey, Arlene Francis, and again with Soupy Sales. Okay, so now we are on to Wednesday evening. We've got Dick Van Dyke, and now we got Courtship of Eddie's father. To Catch a Thief brings Eddie to grips with a dilemma. He's joined a gang. Eddie has joined a gang. I'm sorry, I don't know that I should laugh, but he's joined a gang that demands each member practice the art of shoplifting. Dun dun dun. Okay. Room 222. Pete's problem is an honor student waging an ecological war by giving polluters a taste of their own pollution. And Kurt Russell plays Tim, who I bet is the student they're talking about. Okay, then we have Medical Center that I loved because I thought Chad Everett was very handsome. In this episode, Jeopardy! Dr. Gannon probes for reasons behind an honor student's irrational behavior. So, okay, all I care is that Chet Everett is in it. Or else you could watch Music Hall from London with comedian Dom DeLuise joins Connie Stevens and comic Jack Douglas. I have no idea what that show was. I don't know what that was. But our person put a check mark next to it. And also just a bunch of shows I wouldn't want to watch. Hawaii Five-0, I've never watched a whole episode of that. Something called Gold Diggers. I don't know what that was. Okay, but this is so 70s. Let me read to you the description for Gold Diggers. 30s sketches include a bank teller who's proud to be held up by Bonnie and Clyde, Clark Kent's identity crisis, and a salute to Shirley Temple. The cast includes Joey Heatherton and Frank Sinatra Jr., comic actor Paul Lind, this is brilliant, comedian Barbara Heller, the Singing Times Square 2, comics Stanley Myron Handelman, phenomenal name, Stu Gilliam, and Skiles and Henderson. I bet that was genius 1970s variety show material. I mean, Joey Heatherton and Frank Sinatra Jr., you just know that that was groovy. Okay, or else you could have watched NFL action. I would have totally preferred Gold Diggers, for sure. Okay, let's see what else we can come up with. I will say during the daytime, in the mornings, Romper Room is playing, but I always had a bone to pick with Romper Room because they never saw Laurel in the magic mirror. They saw Laura, they saw Lauren. Never, ever did they see Laurel. So I felt very left out. Okay, you know what else is airing in the afternoons? And this is perfect because there's traffic noise outside. Speed Racer. I had such a crush on Speed Racer. I know he was a cartoon character, so I didn't quite know how that would work out. But I thought he was so cute. Speed Racer. He was so adorable. I loved him. All right, so now we're going to go into prime time, and let's see what our options are. George C. Scott is doing an NBC action playhouse that I would have no interest in watching. The Westerners, again, no interest. The Net Playhouse is doing a biography of the Wright brothers. Wilbur Wright is being played by Stacy Keach, and Orville Wright is being played by James Keach. So they're brothers, actors. So they're brothers. They're actors. Or you could watch Alias Smith and Jones. Never seen a whole episode of that. Outer Limits. Something called Lancer. I don't know why I remember that name, but I don't remember the show at all. But for some reason that name is familiar. Oh, here we go. My favorite, Bewitched. Even though, again, not happy with the fact that everybody tried to keep Samantha's magic reined in as if she could not be trusted with her own magic. That just bugged me. But in this episode, disgusted with her daughter's marriage, and Dora gives Samantha a taste of Serena's single life. Samantha Serena is played by Elizabeth Montgomery. I have no remembrance of that episode, but I'm sure it was genius. Adam 12 is on, which is on every once in a while now. Dan August. Why do I remember that one? I don't remember a lot of these shows because I was much younger then. Dean Martin has his own variety show. So in this one, Vicky Carr, The Temptations, Charles Nelson Riley, and British comic Billy Baxter will be on. I don't think we would have watched that. My parents were not fond of Dean Martin. All right, and then that brings us to Friday. We've got another Dick Van Dyke episode. We've got Alfred Hitchcock. Something called The Interns. I don't know what that was. Now we're getting to my groove. Brady Bunch. I loved Brady Bunch, right? This is Confessions episode. The Brady kids rally to brother Peter's aid after he accidentally breaks his mom's favorite vase. Do you remember the vase episode because they were playing ball in the house? I remember this one. And my special connection with the Brady Bunch always is that I'm the same age as Cindy Brady. So however old Cindy Brady is in an episode, that's how old I was at that time. I don't know why I find that interesting. I don't expect you to find it interesting, but it's a sleep podcast. So my bar is very low in terms of sharing riveting personal information with you. Nanny and the Professor. I loved that one. This is Visiting the Everetts, a 12-year-old prodigy who keeps everyone on his toes except a deflated Hal, Once resident genius, now second best. Oh, that's sad. I don't even know. Partridge Family. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, if I loved Brady Bunch, I loved Partridge Family because David Cassidy, right? I mean, David Cassidy. Need I say more? So in this one, Mom drops out. A European concert tour hinges on an unpleasant condition. The promoter doesn't want Shirley to sing with the group. Songs include Heartbeat. Heartbeat, it's a love beat. 'Cause when we meet, it's a good sensation. I can't even believe that I remembered that song just now. I think, listen to my heartbeat. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, I think that's it, and I have just completely mangled it. But I think that's the song. I do. And that girl is on. And Odd Couple. Odd Couple was fantastic. So this episode, Felix tries to avert a grudge bout between Oscar and the Bruiser, who gave Oscar a shiner. The upshot? A gentleman's match in the gymnasium between Felix and the Bruiser. And Love American Style. Who else remembers Love American Style? And I don't know about you, but all the jokes went over my head. But I still remember all the words. Love American Style, truer than the red, white, and blue, ooh, ooh, ooh. Love American Style, that's me and you. On a star-spangled night, my love, something. Okay. Anyways, Love American Style, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And then if we're going to stay up late, we can watch the movie Harvey, which again is one of Wes's favorite movies, about the man who has the invisible rabbit friend played, the man is played by Jimmy Stewart. It's a really sweet movie. All right, and then it would not be a 1970s magazine without the obligatory, horrific diet ad. So this ad has a very slender woman, a girl, really. Maybe she's 20, 21, 6 feet tall, maybe 118 pounds soaking wet. Very slender. And the headline says, want to lose 4 pounds fast? Well, yes. Yes, I do. So you too may lose 4 pounds the first week with Slender. That's what's called, Slender. And why not? Just don't backslide. Stick with 900 Slender calories a day, and you'll get a thrill when you step on the scale. It works for problem dieters. We put people who are at least 20% overweight on Slender exclusively for 3 weeks. Okay, so I think that means that for 3 weeks, all you are doing is drinking these protein shakes, if they even have protein in them. Of course you're going to lose weight. You're starving. Okay, so exclusively. And dieters lost an average of more than 4 pounds the first week. They were also crabby as all get out. During the next 2 weeks, losses averaged 3.5 pounds. Many of the dieters on the program told us they were not unduly hungry and found Slender surprisingly filling. So this is balanced nutrition. Many 900-calorie diets are fad diets, which emphasize one nutrient over others, but Slender meal is a nutritionally balanced, whether it's instant Slender mixed in milk or canned Slender. Every glass supplies 1/4 of your daily recommended adult dietary allowance of protein, plus vitamins. Oh, this is from Carnation, like Carnation instant milk people. And I would bet as soon as you go on food, you're going to gain all of this back in 3 seconds. This is why I'm so messed up from all of those years. And then our wonderful original owner of this TV guide filled in every single word on the television crossword puzzle. So a man on Adam 12 is a cop. Health resorts are spas. Otherwise is else. So a hat is a cap. Anyways, I just always think that that is interesting when somebody else has filled in the TV guide, because then you realize you're holding on to something somebody else flipped through once upon a time. So that brings us to the end of our Courtship of Eddie's Father issue of TV Guide from 1971. I would have been 9 years old, and I don't know how much TV I would have been watching because it would be the summer. And if it was summer, I was outside all the time with my friends, riding bikes, playing games. We weren't in for a lot of television back then. So summer was awesome as a kid. So we were probably out in the neighborhood until it got dark out, which was quite late. And we were probably waiting for the Good Humor Man and having lots of summertime adventures. But it brings back a lot of memories. A lot of these shows still hold true. I can't believe I remembered the Partridge Family song. I'll have to go look it up now. So that's it, my beautiful friends. We have yet another episode in the can of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, and hopefully you are asleep by now. Or if not, you're amused. One of the two. So I wish you the sweetest of dreams. And I'm grateful for our time together, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thank you so much for listening and for joining me here. I appreciate you.